Hello people, welcome to the next episode of Late Friday Night's Banter Blitz. I'm International Master Andrey Ostrovskiy, and this time I'm going to make a slightly longer session because last week I was forced to make a shorter one because of my participation in one Blitz tournament on the weekend. This weekend I'm more or less free, so nothing actually stops us from making a longer session tonight. Alright, so as usual, I will start with several games against the guys I've never played before. So let's have a look if we have this people among challengers. I think we should have somebody at least. So let's check. Let us check. So here is Jose Bon. Doesn't look like we ever played before, so I'll accept the challenge. Streamgood says Cobra, thank you for this information. So accepting the challenge. And I'm playing as black. Alright. Here we go. So e4, e5. Knight f3, knight to c6. And Italian, or maybe, don't know. Yeah, one of the lines. Knight f6 and d3. d4 is a tricky move, but d3 is something standard, so I think a6 should be okay here to start with. And I guess the c3 with the very simple idea of putting the bishop on g5 and then exploiting the penal on h4 d8 diagonal. So here I guess I have a choice between simply castling, because if bishop g5 then I can come back with the bishop to e7, but I don't like the idea of leaving this active position, so I prefer playing h6. And by the way, now you can see the idea behind a6, so if knight goes to a4 I have bishop a7 move. I don't have to give up my dark squared bishop. Alright, bishop e3. I can take. I can also just play d6, I think. d6 is alright. We're just taking on e3. If I take on the e3, of course, I improve white's position a bit because f-file will be open. And white will have some initiative on it. Alright, let's play just d6. If bishop takes c5, then after d5 I have a better control of d4 square. And knight to d5, alright. So the point is, if I take on d5, then probably e takes d5, and when my knight goes away, there is bishop c5, dc5, and knight takes e5, winning the pawn. Okay, but I don't think that knight d5 attacks anything, at least right now. So probably I can just ignore this knight. What I can do instead, maybe just bishop g4. What about just bishop g4? I guess it should be fine. So pinning the knight f3 and probably intending something like knight to d4. If knight takes f6, alright, I'm fine with queen takes f6. c3 looks very natural, yeah, controlling d4. So white is playing very well so far. White is playing good. Let's just castle. a4. Also logical move. Now, maybe it's time to take on d5. So knight takes d5, ed5, knight goes away, bishop c5, dc5, g4, bishop goes away, knight takes c5, knight takes d5 is unclear to me, but should be not that bad in general. Still, taking on e3 doesn't look very tempting to me. I can also think of just playing knight to d7 first, protecting the bishop on c5, and then knight to e7, dealing with that knight, maybe just forcing it away after c6. Not quite sure about this move, but it looks safe at least. So I control h4 with the queen, so if g4 then just bishop g6, and I'm fine more or less. After b4, I guess it's better for me to go away. Better than take it on e3, I mean. Because in that case, after f takes e3, white actually achieves what he wants. And now I guess it makes sense to try knight takes a7, intending c6. Getting rid of this centralized knight on d5. And g4, well, it's not so clear to evaluate, I mean, in general, because, you know, white just weakens a lot of dark squares with this move. And doesn't necessarily achieve anything concrete. Yeah, my bishop is limited, but it doesn't mean I have no chances to activate it, so at some point I will play c6, d5, I think. Alright, so it's time to play c6. And now what? Let's bring this knight to the game. Somewhat misplaced there. Okay, knight f5. What about knight to b6 now? Using the tempo to protect d6. Now I can play d5. I can also try a5. I guess it makes sense to start with the a5. Preventing white's a4, a5, and also dealing with the center indirectly, because after ab4, cb4, white doesn't have this pawn supporting d4. At the same time, I have some problems with the time, so I have to act faster. But it's not so simple. Alright, so let's take it. It's probably the first inaccuracy that white made here. I guess a5 was much more interesting, intending e takes d5, because now I think I can just grab b4 pawn. I'm not sure that white will have a compensation for it. Let's take it. So white probably has a compensation, but I'm not sure that it is sufficient. Of course, there is a great advantage in time on the clock, for sure. So I'm experiencing a severe time trouble. At the same time, I have a great advantage here. So first of all, extra pawn. Second of all, better pawn structure. But it will be very hard to win this game. Because I believe white has some counterplay. Oh, this is a serious mistake. Misplayed it completely. I'm probably just lost now. So there is a checkmate threat on h8. There was a checkmate threat. Yeah, this is a lost position. Or maybe it's a draw. I didn't know. Yeah, it's probably draw. Very bad play. I played it very bad. 20 seconds only. Okay. No, I don't have real chances here for sure. White is not going to misplay it somehow. That's fantastic. I mean, White is playing very good this game. Shocking. I mean, for White's rating, it's just a perfect play. Like, I won on time, but as you can see, position is just absolutely drawish. White is probably even better here. So that's fantastic. I mean, amazing. So once I captured the pawn on b4, I thought I was already better, and probably I was. Like knight d5, cd5, yeah, it should be just much better position for black, but maybe taking on g4 was not that great, because I improved opponent's pawn structure. And actually this rook ending was not that clear, at least I played it badly. Probably I should have occupied c file instead of putting the rook on the a file. Yeah, and instead of taking on g4, I think black should have played queen to e7. Controlling f6 square, probably just blockading the pawn, putting the queen on f6, and then trying to do something with numerous white's weaknesses. And this position is definitely much better for black, 100%. So where white made a mistake, I'm not sure, but somewhere here. So instead of taking on e7, or maybe that was okay to take on e7, but here I'm not sure why white didn't consider e d5 or maybe a5 first, forcing my knight to c8, and now taking on d5. This actually makes position absolutely unclear. Maybe white is just better, because if I take on b4, there is dc6, bc6, all right. Materially balanced position, there is a passer. There are also some ideas, I don't know, connected with the activation of this bishop b3, with the activity of this bishop, because it is already active. Don't know. Maybe it's balanced, maybe black is doing well here, but at least I thought this would be not that pleasant for black. Maybe a6 deserves attention here. I mean, trying to reach this position. Now c6 is a strong pawn. There is also d5 square of white's pieces. Don't know. That was interesting, at least. Okay, thanks for this game. One more guy we've never played before. Let me check. Yona or Jonah 2007. Accept. And white pieces. e4. Yeah, that was a long game. In the rook ending, by the way, there was a chance to play for a checkmate. Maybe instead of king g4, king f4 was interesting with the same threat of rook h8. And then at some point just activating the rook, trying to bring both rooks to the back rank. In which case, I would have serious problems. All right. Petrov defense. I used to play this line many years ago. I don't remember the theory. And we'll try to remember that during this game. There is probably no strict theory. But anyway. Alright, let's put the bishop on e3. The plan is simple, at least. I'm going to play queen d2, then castling. Or maybe I will start with the h4 here. So the idea is to put the knight on g5 at some point, the bishop on d3, and to exert some pressure on h7, something like this. All right, now what? Now say bishop e2. Bishop d3 also deserved attention, to be honest. Because if bishop takes f3, g takes f3, of course I have bad pawn structure, but g file becomes open and maybe I have some chances. Because anyway, I castle long here and my plan is to attack the king. It's not so simple if the whole side is closed. And here, interesting question, to take with the bishop or to take with the pawn? Well, taking with the pawn will be too strange. It will be just artificial. I'll take with the bishop. Obviously, I'm not afraid of bishop takes h4 because this opens the h file, which is nice. Now it's time to castle. So now my plan becomes even easier to implement, I think. So, say, what if I just... Should I take on b7 or not? So bishop b7, rook b8, bishop e4 looks like an option. Of course, this is risk, but I think it's okay. Because I have some concrete threats to h7 square, to h7 pawn. This bishop on h4 is strange. I guess it should be fine. Oh, I missed rook takes b2, in fact. Stupid. Yeah, rook takes b2. Oh, this may be very unpleasant. Wow. This may change everything. Well, I mean, I'm not lost after that, but starts looking not very pleasant. I guess after rook takes b2, of course I cannot take with the king because of knight c4, but I will have something like queen d4 move, controlling c4 square so that the rook on b2 is still hanging. My king now has d2 square to run away if necessary. And I have some threats like bishop h7 and rook takes h4 using the h file. Oh, this is very bad. Okay, now I just take on h7 without sacrifices. Even it was necessary to try rook takes b2. I think it was the best chance. Knight c4 was bad because of bishop h7, queen d3, queen c4. But rook b2 was absolutely playable. Okay, now I have to bring my queen to the h file. I think I can combine it with protecting c4 square like queen e2. Simple move. Want to occupy h5 square. So now rook b2 doesn't work, obviously. King takes b2. I don't even need that because I have like bishop f5, rook h8, queen h5 and checkmate. Okay, here I just take it with check. And white is winning. All right, so let's have a look at rook takes b2 possibility. So I calculated only knight to c4, to be honest. That was my mistake. Of course, in this case, I just take on h7. That was my idea. And if king takes h7, I have queen d3 check. And then I take on c4. And I have extra material and probably winning position because the h file is open. But I missed rook takes b2. Now, of course, bishop h7 is interesting continuation, but it doesn't lead to anything concrete. So yeah, it opens the h file, gives me a chance to play g3 after that, regaining the bishop, maybe even bishop to g5. So let's have a look. Bishop h7, king here, like bishop g5, creating a sort of rook h4. Maybe it's even better than queen to d4 that I planned. Because now knight c4, I just take on h4 check and then take on c4, for example. Queen is hanging there, queen g5, just queen g5. It's lost for black. What to do? Queen to b8, probably a logical move, just creating sort of rook b1 checkmate. Do I have the time here? So I take here, let's say king g8. What's next? My queen has to go away somewhere to prepare king d2. Or maybe rook b4 is possible. Look at this. Interest in defense. So rook b4, forcing rook takes b4, now cb4. But this position is absolutely unclear. First of all, it's materially balanced. Second of all, I still have to make a lot of moves to bring my pieces to the h-file, and black will definitely have some time for counterplay. So I'm not sure. I guess queen d4 is slightly more interesting, but it may be not working. So rook on b2 is now hanging, and I have a sort of bishop h7 and taking on h4. But rook takes a2, I think, is unpleasant, at very least. I don't have tactics like rook h4, queen h4, bishop h7, because queen takes on h7. So I definitely have to do something like this. Rook takes h4, king goes back. And now I don't know. So if I play rook h1, there is rook a1, unfortunately. Something like this. Takes. Don't know. I'm a pawn down. There are some chances, of course, to organize the attack on the h-file, but at some point when my queen is on the h-file, black just plays f6 and king has f7 square. So I don't think there was anything serious. So rook takes b2 deserves attention, and probably bishop b7 was just too much. Instead of that, I should have played something simple like bishop e2, preparing f4, g4, and controlling c4 square, or maybe bishop e4, forcing something like g6, h6, or maybe f5. All this weakens black's position, so I will have some counterplay against it. I guess the most solid move is just bishop e2. And then simply like f4, g4, pushing pawns, exerting pressure on h7, using the power of two bishops. So it should be just good enough for white. Okay, thank you for this game. One more game against somebody I've never ever played before, and then we will just come back to the normal order of challengers. So just a sec. Trying to find somebody. Okay, Carrie Tyrrell. Never ever played before, except and white pieces again. Let's go. Sicilian this time. All right, no. Knight c6 is too early. Let's start with the f4. And now knight c6, according to theory. All right. So in this line, white castles short after some preparation. Okay, bishop b4 is not very typical move for this, but it definitely stops me from taking on d5. I can try a3, but I'm tempted just to put... Oh! This is probably not the best. I mean, for several seconds I was worrying about d4, and if knight goes away, like f4 is vulnerable because my bishop on d2 is pinned, but bishop on b4 was hanging, and in case bishop d2, queen d2 is possible, protecting f4. and then head into c4 with the knight, like knight a3, knight c4. All right, that was fine. That was fine. So what to do now? What if I just start with the e5? The move that white usually makes later, but in this particular case, when there is a pressure on e4, I think there is nothing terribly wrong with like starting with this. Okay, now can I play knight to d5? No, I cannot. Very annoying tactics like cd5, bishop b4, queen b6 check. Annoying. So let's just go away with the king, probably creating this threat of just taking on d5 now. Yeah, it's definitely a threat now. So knight d5 is absolutely playable now, so I win the material, right? That's why I don't really like the position of the bishop on b4, it's quite vulnerable. Alright, there is a problem with taking on d5? I don't see the one, so let's just capture the pawn. Attacking the queen and the bishop on b4 simultaneously. And takes extra pawn. And pair of bishops. But probably I will just exchange my dark squared 1 for that knight, because this knight is potentially annoying. While that bishop on b7 is not necessarily that dangerous, so I'm gonna simplify the things here. Now just f5, let's go. So still sticking to the typical plan for this pawn structure, at the same time having the extra material, which is pleasant. So right now my idea is just to play f6, forcing dark squared weaknesses there, and maybe bringing the queen to h6 with the checkmate at some point. If black takes on f5, I'm going to take with the rook, bring in another one to f1, and so forth. And f6, wow. Isn't it too much? I mean, what is going on if I just take on e6 now? Feels like one more pawn. Yeah, just second pawn now. Extra one. F takes c5, just queen takes c5. Wow, this is just too much, I think. So I have very simple e takes f6 completely open in the position of the king. I can also consider queen to h5 now, attacking h7 first. And if g6, bishop g6, hg6, queen g6, king h8, and something like rook f5 should be decisive. And if h6, just queen g6, and it should be just a quick checkmate. Okay, let's bring the queen to h5. Black completely abandoned the king, and here is the punishment. When you don't have the knight on f6 covering h7, of course you have to be careful about opponent's light squared bishop and your h7 square. Black actually did everything here to make my attack decisive. Alright, if I'm not mistaken, this wins by force. At least I don't see a defense. Alright, rook e7, but it's still very bad, so I have this move. And it's over. I mean, I have decisive material advantage now, in addition to all the pleasant things associated with my position. Now what? Just taking on f6, right? Taking on f6 is good enough. e6 is also a move. Don't know which one is better, to be honest. So let's play e6. Attacking the rook. Probably the idea is just to bring the queen to e8 if rook goes to g7, let's say. Another idea is just to come up with a rook lift, like rook f3 or rook g3, if rook doesn't occupy the g file. And if rook goes to e7, finally I'm going just to take on f6. And it will be over. Very bad position for black. Absolutely lost now. All right. Let's take that one. Rook f7 is one of the threats. Another simple threat is just to bring the rook to f1. Also winning. Queen g5 is probably not the main idea here because of rook g7. So yeah. Just activating all the guys. Rook a to f1 looks very natural. Queen d4. Okay, rook on f6 is hanging. Yeah, I don't see the problem with rook a to f1, just protecting it and creating a sort of rook f8. Or maybe queen g5 first and then rook f8 with the checkmate. That's why Jose says Andrey looking stressed tonight. A bit. Yeah, it's lost. So the very first mistake, which was probably a decisive one here when I played king to h1. By the way, immediate knight d5 doesn't work because of this. cd5, bishop b4, and now queen b6 check. And after king goes away, just queen takes b4, and black is a minor piece up. That's why basically I played king to h1, just preparing that. And black had a chance to protect the bishop, so it was possible to play bishop b7, just going back. It was also interesting to try rook to b8, protecting the bishop here, and intending to attack my b2, which is very typical for this pawn structure. In which case I would have played something like, I don't know, rook to e1, or maybe rook to f3. Probably rook to f3, because now if you play something like knight c5, I can consider even just taking here, rook to h3, then queen to h5, forcing f6. And I'm not sure, but white usually has some play in such a situation. Maybe it's not that case exactly. So let's say check, king here, like rook to g3, attacking g7. And I don't know. Some sort of initiative for sure. So it takes here. Rook g6 is interesting, f5 is interesting, f5 is probably a move. Bringing the bishop to the attack, so should be interesting to try. At least in the blitz game, this could work very well. So you should be careful about h7 in this position, but for sure, you have to be much more careful here when there is no knight being able to protect h7, so f6 was too much. First of all, you just lose the pawn, and then you give him a chance to play queen h5, and after that it's lost. Absolutely. Alright, Don G says, hi everyone, I left work early. Nice. Nice. So, let's continue with normal order of challenges. So here's Anton's. Let's play Anton's. Playing as black. This time will be hard, believe. Because Anton's is very strong and very fast. So, let's see. As far as I remember, that is the point. So d5, well, e4 was also interesting. Instead of taking on f4, I mean. But this should be also like playable stuff for black. d3. a6, I'm not sure it is the best move here, but I'm just covering b5 square. That's the main idea. So preventing knight to b5, grabbing my bishop. So I'm basically saving both bishops on the board, but probably I'm missing something simple connected with my pawn f4. Okay, if I play g5 now, then just h4. Looks a bit ugly. Does it make sense for me to play b5, b4 now? Does it give me anything? So b5, bishop b3, like b4, where the knight goes. Not sure. Knight to h5 is the way to protect the pawn, at least for now. And if castles, then g5, but it feels like I'm just placing my pieces somewhere on the side of the board instead of centralizing them. On the other hand, this pawn f4 plays a great role, like in limiting opponent's pieces. I'm not sure what to play here, so first I will play b5. This looks at least interesting. Now b4, getting rid of the knight on c3, which may weaken d5 pawns, so this may give me some counterplay. And against this, I wanted to try this, just takes. And now g5, the point is that if h4, I have f6. Is it good or not? I'm not sure, but at least feels like I managed to save the pawn on f4. So obviously h6 is bad because of hg5, and there is a pin along the h file. In this case, as we may notice, well, I still have problems with protecting my pawn. Alright, so this feels like the only move. Because if I move my f-pawn, then bishop g5 was possible with check, that's what I mean. In this case, position is not so clear, so everything depends on my ability to save the blockade on dark squares. So rook h4. Yeah, feels like I'm a pawn down anyway. But at least I will have this knight on e5. This should mean anything. This should mean something. Let's take it. Knight to e5. Does it deserve attention, or it's better to play something like rook f8, or maybe rook g8, even rook g8 does d6, right? I'm struggling here. Just struggling here. All right, this position looks very bad now. Rook is just getting to h6 and then what to do? Probably I still have some defending options. So if rook h6, I at least have knight to g6. Doesn't look completely terrible, so now I have some time, like rook e7, king d4, rook to e8, e5, rook takes e5, rook takes e5, rook takes e5, rook takes h7. White has the advantage still, but I guess I have some defending options anyway. So the bishop is still quite bad. This gives me some chances. But once the bishop is improved, it's over. Maybe it's already over. I don't know where to go with the king. Again, he's so fast and like so strong. I don't know. Oh, now rook takes g6. My goodness, it's lost just immediately. Yeah, resign. All right. I think it makes no sense to play against Antons within this format because, well, I just have to be completely focused on the game to play such a strong opponent. So it's probably the last time I'm playing against Antons within Banter Blitz show. All right, let's go further. Environment. Philidor. And which line? Larsen variation with a g6 or intorsion system after bishop e7 or something. Bishop e7, well. Strange order of moves. Knight to c6. So what was the mistake? I mean, after queen e2, probably king f8 was the better move than queen e7. Maybe in general, queen e7 was better. I don't remember this theory there. All right, knight to c6. That's an interesting approach. Can I just play knight to d5 in such a situation? Let's check what happens after that. Now I have good looking centralization. I can basically get a pair of bishops after knight takes e7. Yes. And simply f3, right? Usually it's not such a good idea to have the queen in the center at the early stage of the game, but in this case there is no piece to attack it, so it's completely fine. Okay, that's what I wanted to do, just to put the bishop on g5. Maybe even intending to capture an f6, but not necessarily, because yeah, I definitely damaged the pawn structure, but still black's position is very solid, so I guess it's better to keep a pair of bishops on the board. So I'll castle. And we will see then. Question from Swahos X, why f3 is better than bishop d3? Because bishop doesn't belong to d3 to start with. And f3 is a preparation of g4, h4, typical plan in this position. Okay, should I go away? Yeah, why not? Now h6 is my hook, so I can play g4, g5. Question, where does he belong to? For now, it should stay on f1. It doesn't have the good square, in my opinion. So everything will be clearer a bit later. Okay, d5. Now c5 is a threat. I have to be very careful. So probably e5 is forced. But then what? g4, g5 becomes not so clear, because the knight goes to d7. Well, I probably should have played something to prevent d5. I kind of missed this idea completely. But maybe I have queen c3 now. If d takes c4, then bishop c5 is unpleasant. But if I play queen c3, okay, black can play c5 anyway. Yeah, it looks terrible. Looks terrible. Queen c5 maybe. Queen takes c5, bishop c5. Simplifying the things a bit. I should be still better in the endgame because of pair of bishops. Yeah, maybe it's a safe way to play that. So dark squares are weakened, pair of bishops. But the problem is I'm a bit behind the development. So ed5, knight e5, bishop c4 doesn't feel convincing at all. On the other hand, e5 is also bad. Now it's even worse than before. Misplayed this position completely. I mean, doesn't look good anymore. Okay, so let's take. At least completing a development. And centralizing everything. Yeah, why not? Black is all right here. I mean, absolutely okay. I have only 1 minute. Gonna lose this one, probably. Okay, we will try. I still have a pair of bishops, so long-term advantage. They're a bit passive now, but sooner or later they will both become much better than they are. Okay. Let's grab some space. So, my dark squared bishop is very passive for now. But after f4 and g5 later, I will have a chance to activate it, I hope. I hope so, at least. Right, let's protect this bishop on e2. Wanted to play rook c5 almost immediately, but then noticed there was bishop takes g4 because my bishop was hanging. Okay, here... let's put the rook. Yeah, it's super ugly play, but have to do something. What happened? Why black resigned? I don't understand why black resigned, because position is actually full of play still for both sides. That was a strange decision. So some people say it's draw. It's not a draw. Of course it's not a draw, because there's still a lot of play. So white still has a chance to change the position after f4, g5. Black has a chance to do the same on the queen side and so forth. So don't understand. Of course, that was very stupid for me to play a3 and c3. That was very bad. So after rook c8, of course I should have tried something like maybe c4 here. Maybe just playing g4 immediately, and after c5, let's say just b3, stopping the pawn from going to c4, so fighting for space again. In this case, as you can see, my bishop quite good, even on f1, controlling important squares c4, b5, a6, so preventing black's play. On the queen side, while I have some perspectives here on the king side after h5, f4, g5, or maybe even just h5 and then g5 at some point. So the idea is to open up a position somehow, and then bishops may become good. All right. So it's a long-term advantage usually. So you don't have to hurry up. You have to improve your position slightly. Okay. That is very strange. So environment decided not to play that position. Didn't know why. Okay, was his choice. And let's have a look at the opening stage, I guess. At some point, my position looked good. Maybe h4, in fact, was a mistake. I guess h4 was stupid. Maybe g4 instead was much better. Because in this case, like, if black plays h6, I have bishop h4. Yeah, of course. This looks much better than what I did. In this case, I control d5 indirectly, so there is no d5 move with the bishop on this diagonal. And still, this h6 is very serious weakening of the position, so I can exploit it by playing rook to g1 and then g5, opening the g file. And this pin, in general, is very annoying long term. Yeah, that's what I should have done instead of playing h4. Just saving the bishop on this diagonal, just play g4. And if black, for example, makes wait and move or something, then I think I can do this, because in this case, it's a bit different. So bishop e3 here, I already have g5. This changes this situation. So hg5, hg5, attacking the knight, knight goes away. I can just take on d5. And if bishop takes d5, of course, if I take on d5, there's queen e3, which is unclear. But I have a feeling that even something like queen h4 should work here. So queen takes here, king goes to b1, and I don't see a good defense against the checkmate. So f6, g6, f5, also g6. But then queen h6, alright, so maybe there is a defense. But at very least, I can just grab the bishop on d5 first, and I will have a great attack here, okay? So, yeah, that is the situation. So h4 was inaccuracy, and after h6, probably the best move was, in this situation, just to grab the knight, avoiding all these complications. After d5, I completely missed that idea. That was a problem. So queen f6, queen takes f6, g takes f6. Should be slightly better ending for white because of the pawn structure. So my plan here is to exchange my bad bishop for that good bishop, and then white should try to exploit these weaknesses somehow, but it's not that simple. But it should be anyway a bit more pleasant for white to play than for black. All right. Next one is wheelbarrow. Accept. Okay, this way. French pawn structure, but reversed. And I'm not sure that this bishop b2 knight c3 is very consistent. All right. What if I just put the bishop on f5, protecting e4? Now I have a good outpost on e4. Feels like black already solved opening problems. Black is definitely not worse here. That's what I mean. C4 gives me a possibility to put the bishop on b4 with check now. And to prevent castling at least. Should I do that or it's not necessary? Let's try it, why not? Let it be, I mean. Want to see white struggling a bit. Making castling. While black is just continuing with the normal development. Light squares are completely weak, and this bishop on b2 is bad forever. This position should be positionally, positionally, yeah. Strategically lost. Alright, let's castle. Bring the rook to e8. This should be over. So pieces of white and black are beyond compare. So probably just bishop takes h2, right? Or f5, f4, or queen g4, don't know. All the moves look very good. Or maybe just rook e6, rook e8. Yeah, rook e6. Yes. That's a nice move. Just improving the position of heavy pieces. I do believe I could have played this much in a much more convincing way, but this is also good enough. Alright, rook e8. And now I think just rook f6, right? Because there is no rook f1 move. This should win a material. Yeah, there is nothing to discuss in this game. Of course, white just played random moves in the opening. Got the French-type pawn structure with strangely placed knight on c3 instead of playing c4. Played f3, captured on e4, so that I got this great outpost on e4. And then c4 giving me a chance to give this check on b4. All this actually led to these complications. Right now I just take on e4 with the pawn, and it's over. Takes an f3 with check, winning the queen in addition to the rook. Time to resign. More or less, yeah. Alright, so I've already said, I think, the main reason why white lost this game. So too many mistakes in the opening stage. Let's continue. The next one is Fuchs-Rudel, accept. And after that, there will be Sebi, I think. Let's have a look. Yeah, Sebi is the next. But first, Fuchs. Let's play Fuchs. Bishop g5, alright. So Trompovsky. Do you want to take my knight and then play e4? No, bishop h4 instead. Okay, now c5. c3. b6. Preparing bishop to b7. Yeah. Controlling e4 square. Going to take on d4 first. Okay, cd4 is not very good, I think, with the knight on d2 usually. So the knight belongs to c3 in such a situation. But okay. So it's good for me then that the knight is misplaced a bit. But anyway, this position should be just equal. I don't think black or white has anything here. It's just completely balanced. I don't think I have to be in a rush with developing my knight on b8 because I have some ideas connected with bishop h6, just getting rid of white's light square bishop, but it's probably not very sound. I mean, it can make sense after I play d7, d5. If I want to control e4 additionally, then bishop a6, of course, is logical because my bishop becomes bad on b7. And in many cases, I'm more or less forced to do that because white is going to improve the position with the e3, e4, or something like that. All right. So let's castle first. I guess it's fine. Yeah, d5, then bishop to a6. That's what I want to try in this situation. Especially if bishop remains on this a6, f1 diagonal, I will definitely exchange the bishop. But even if there is no bishop on that diagonal, my bishop on a6 now looks better than on b7 after I played d5, right? Now let's put the knight on c6, intending knight b4, knight d3. So all of a sudden I start improving my position almost automatically. So my pieces are placed correctly. Okay, rook c1, now knight b4, right? Intended knight to d3, looks very natural. a3, knight d3. Is there a good defense against this knight d3? Probably rook c1 goes away somewhere, but where? I have also additional idea of just playing knight e4, take c4, and then I have this d3 square. Anyway, so let's put the knight on b4. Here we go. So I like my position. Oh, knight e5 is of course an obvious defense. I'm so stupid. Yeah, so I'm definitely very bad tonight. I mean, I'm missing so simple moves. Knight e5 was just great, where after I have some problems with finding a good place for the knight, so probably I was forced to play knight to d3 in that case. Exchange knights, I mean, and, well, what was the reason of just putting the knight on b4? I don't know. Now I think I have some ideas connect with knight d3, attacking the rook, then taking on b2. Again, maybe I'm just missing something simple, but it feels like winning some material easily. Yeah, knight e5 was good for white, just preventing all this. White doesn't need all these complications. Absolutely. Now I have extra exchange for nothing. Yeah. Okay, knight c6 is kind of stretched, so let's put the bishop on b5, controlling this square c6. a4. Alright, let's go passive. But for some reason I want to save my bishop e7, that's why I don't give white a chance to play knight c6, knight takes e7, then e4 with some counterplay. I think it's completely fine to make several not very active move, but still having everything under control. Okay, h3. Now I think I can afford playing knight d7 because c6 is protected. So let's start simplifying the things. Since we have material advantage, why not? First of all, when I exchange dark squared bishops now, also exchange knights, and then simplifying until I have a winning ending with the extra exchange. Bishop h4 is hanging. Queen e7. Okay, so I managed to exchange the most active white's pieces. And I also have this queen b4 idea. I noticed that square once white played a4, of course, because it's typical stuff for such a pawn structure. Now I'm just using it. So in addition to extra exchange, there is one pawn. Rook on d1 is hanging. It's over. Okay, b3. Where to put the queen? a2 looks nice. a3 with the idea of rook c1 looks also very good. Let's put it on a3. So exchanging pieces, I just reduce opponent's attacking potential. Because if you don't have resources, you don't have attack. If you don't have attack, you don't have a counterplay. Which means extra material decides. Right, rook to c8. Now it's definitely over. Because I don't see a good defense against rook c1. Yeah. So, first of all, after cd4 in such a situation, it's much better to take with this pawn. And we have some sort of very popular opening tabia. So we play bishop d3, castles, then something like rook e1, queen e2, black plays bishop e7, a6, d6. Sometimes, by the way, white can actually castle long, so bishop d3, queen e2, castles long, then g4, g5, something like this, and so forth. cd4, well, gives you absolutely nothing. I think it's just equality immediately. After bishop e7, bishop c4, castles, yeah, black has no problems, absolutely. But after rook to c1, I think I made a mistake playing this knight to b4. This appeared nothing. So after knight b4, it was possible to play knight to e5. Creating sort of a3. Followed by knight c6, let's say. Or just taking the knight on d3. So I have some problems with finding a good square for the knight. Maybe I'm forced just to play knight e3 now. But then you just take knight f3, knight e5, and you're fine. Knight to e4... I don't think it gives black anything except for problems. But maybe it was possible to know. Bishop e7, queen e7, let's say knight takes e4. D takes e4. And for example, knight to c6. Yeah, it's also a balanced position, but I think now white has slightly better pawn structure. Yeah. It's not what black could have achieved in this situation. I mean, I don't want to say that black has advantage here. Of course, no. There is no advantage, but probably it's already a bit more pleasant for black to play. So something like rook c8 first. It's like a very good version of Catalan in which there is no bishop on g2. And my knight is good on c6, intended knight a5, knight c4, maybe knight b4 at some point. Well, this knight on d2 is definitely misplaced. That is what I was trying to say during the game when I told you that after cd4, the knight on d2 isn't good. Yeah, because in this pawn structure, within this pawn structure, the knight belongs to c3, just like black's one belongs to c6. On d2, as you can see, there is no work, nothing to do. Very passive one. Alright, yeah, rook c8 was a bit better than knight b4. Of course, after rook c3 was a mistake, and knight d3. Black is just winning material, so if rook goes to e2 or f1, I just take on b2, attacking the queen and the rook simultaneously. So something like this. Rook here, knight takes b2, queen c2, I just take on f1, and after, king f1 or knight f1, doesn't really matter, my knight has this square c4. Yeah, you can take it on c4, but still, I'm an exchange up. That's the thing. Alright. Let's go. Let's go for the next game. Okay, do we have a challenge from Migtal? I'm going to accept the challenge from Migtal because, as far as I understand, he's experiencing some problems right now and wants to play the game. And true, we have not played for ages, so let's take a break from normal order of challenges, play Migtal, and after this game we'll come back to normal order of challenges. So I hope Sebi will understand, right? Sebi was supposed to be the next, yeah. Okay, let's go. Straightforward, like, what if g4, then knight takes c5, d takes c5, bishop g4, f3 wins a piece. I guess I can play g4 now. Oh. No. It's a big mistake. I mean, knight e5, d5, knight can take on g4. That was stupid. That was stupid, I mean, this g4. Even in that case, I think I have some play after, h3, forcing the knight to h6, and then something like queen b5 check, queen takes b7, but the thing is, I just missed it completely, so I'm definitely in a very bad shape tonight. In a very, very bad shape. But Mick is also playing not his best. Pair of bishops and e6 drops. g6 is very weak. Should be lost now. So the only chance was to take my knight on e5. Okay, knight h7 now. Bishop d3 or queen takes e6. Both look like decisive continuations. Which one is better? I don't know. Let's... Oh, bishop d3 is not even possible. Oh my goodness. I mean, something attacking g6, right? So queen e4. All right. Yeah, indeed, I'm in a very bad shape. Now taking on b7 looks very good. Because I can come back to e4 next move, but black's pawn structure is completely damaged. So all these guys, a7, c7, e6, g6 are my objects of attack. Wow, what was that? That was outside. Shot or something, I don't know. Hopefully everybody's okay there. Okay, 2 extra pawns as far as I understand. And this knight is very bad on h7. Should be enough to win the game. Let's complete the development. Centralize the pieces and break through the e-file, I think. Knight is heading to c4, right? I guess it's time to clarify the things with the bishop. Goes away. All right. Now what? Just bishop d3 control and c4. Yeah, why not? And this one I'm just gonna take. Now check. King here. Bishop takes a5. One more pawn. One more pawn. Rook e2 is just, again, very strange move. Knight e6 was possible. I think it doesn't change the evaluation, but still. Was absolutely unnecessary to give my opponent that chance. Rook b2, obviously rook d to e1, and there is no good chance to stop me from playing rook e7 because of rook h7 and rook e8. But then rook to f7, I missed that. Alright, but rook e8 is definitely bad because of bishop b5. Now I'm winning even more. Alright, so black lost the game, I think, after playing bishop to g6 strategically, because now h4 is very strong. It's typical stuff, by the way. So now, for example, knight e5 doesn't really help because of d5, and I control e4 square, so the next move will be h5, just trapping the bishop and winning the game. So there was a chance to take on e5 here. Now, if I take on f5, it's not that clear because of queen d4, but maybe it's my best move. I'm not sure. Queen takes d4. There's some like knight b5, absolutely unclear stuff. And then knight, dunno, is quite active. Queen goes to c5 on the other hand. Dunno. So it's really unclear. But if I take on e5 with the pawn, then you take with the knight here. That's what I think was interesting. In which case, I wanted to do something with this knight, probably just h3 to prevent any sort of activity against f2, where after I can try queen to b5 check, and then I take on b7. I don't know, but at least the pawn structure should be slightly better for me. So I guess it was fine. So maybe it was even better for you just to grab on e5 immediately here after queen e2. Not a big expert in Scandinavian, but should be playable here. So knight e5, d5, knight goes to d7, then c6, e6, just gradually improving the situation, and should be playable, should be okay. In general, I think bishop f5 is not that great. So it's better to stick to something like g6, bishop g7, or, you know, c6 move first, or maybe even bishop g4. I have no idea. All right. Getting back to normal order of challenges, Sebi is the next. Accept. And playing with white, right? Usually I play e4. This time I'm gonna try knight f3. Okay. So knight h4 no longer makes sense, for sure, because bishop just runs away to h7. What should we do here? Can I play like that? Maybe it was slightly better for black just to go away in advance, like bishop h7. But even this looks fine. But now I have e5 on the other hand. And black definitely has some problems with the knight. Now it's forced somewhere to the ugly position. And I have a follow-up in the form of knight e4, knight d6. So probably black already misplayed it. Right. Knight to e4 gives me what? Gives me a pair of bishops, I think, because black should prevent me from getting to d6. So the question from Twaco's X, just wondering if it's no in the book. I mean, in that Scandinavian, no, it's just knowing some typical ideas. It's not the book. It's just very simple. So you put the knight on e5 and then you play against the bishop g4, h4, damaging the pawn structure and so forth. I was just trying to do that. It's typical for every line of Scandinavian. Sometimes it works in Caro-Kann, in general in this pawn structure. It's not necessarily about the concrete order of moves or something. It's just knowing typical ideas. All right, focus on this game. Already feels like serious advantage for white. So pair of bishops, more space. This knight on h7 is ugly. I can play h4 next move, completely stopping it from being activated. Oh, also, I'm not sure what to do against b4. b4 is also very unpleasant for black to play against. So queen b6 stops me from b4, at least at first glance. I can prepare that with the help of rook to b1, I think. At the same time, I have a feeling that it's much more important for me to play h4 here, to stop the knight from getting to g5, and it's very bad for a long time. All right, and now I guess something like rook b1 deserves serious attention. b4 is coming. Also, I just protect b2, so now I can put my bishop on e3 easily. Yeah, why not? Very good position for white, I mean. Have a lot of space, different plans. Black is definitely struggling here. One of the plans should be somehow connected with the h6 pawn, so something like sacrifice on h6 even at some point. Bringing the rook to g4 will be problematic because this rook is going to be traded next move. But still, position is very pleasant. All right, so black decided not to exchange my rook. Rook g4 now, then h5 probably. All right, let's just improve the position, move by move. Okay, black is doing the same. Improving the position, move by move. All right. This is questionable. Now I'm going to attack h5. And g6 will weaken position even more. This pawn structure is very typical again for several openings. Most common example is a Alekhine defense, or Alekhine defense, if you will. So now what, knight to g5, right? Yeah, knight g5 is very natural move, just attacking h5. And using the weakening of the g5 square after h5. Should be a good position for white. Very good. Knight g6. That's strange. Now I can take on h5. Probably that was a big blunder. But if I take on h5, there's bishop g5, which is unclear. So maybe I should start with bishop takes c5, bishop c5, and then queen h5. But then I'm losing on e5, right? And there is no checkmate on h7. Okay, but what if I just take on h5, and if bishop takes g5, I just take with the queen? Or even bishop takes c5 is possible. No, it's definitely a blunder, so I'm going to take here. And now it's a question, to take on g5 with the queen, or just to take on c5. So if I take on c5, rook takes d1, queen takes d1, then queen takes e5. What is that? It somehow should be good for white, but I don't see a direct refutation. hg5, queen c5, queen d8, king h7. Wow. Black is doing not that bad, right? Right. Maybe just taking with the pawn then. Okay, double pawn, but extra pawn. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go greedy, I mean. Okay. So 2 bishops against 2 knights. And extra pawn. Should be good. It's not a blunder. My rook on d1 is protected with my queen. I'm just going to occupy d6 at some point. For example, right now. Yeah, this looks gorgeous for white. And I can take you in here. So now 2 extra pawns, and I don't see a compensation, to be honest. Just protecting everything here. Bringing my bishop to e4. Just, what? King g2. Queen e2. Oh, b4 drops. Okay, it doesn't change the evaluation, but it was unnecessary to miss that. Still winning, of course. Oh my goodness! I wanted to play rook to b1. Oh my god. Misclicked that. Oh my god. It happens sometimes. So what happened? I won. Yeah, rook a1. Oh, of course, rook to b1 was planned, but you know, I'm having some problems with my mouse, I think, because this misclicks became just a typical thing during last days. Recently, so rook to b1 was planned, and it's absolutely winning, of course. Rook takes b2, rook takes b5, and so forth. All right. Yeah. But white was winning. Somewhere here after bishop e4 and a3, of course, the best move for white is something like bishop to c2, covering a4. This is the only chance for black, so it was necessary to prevent this sort of counterplay, because if queen goes to c6, okay, just king f2. There are no squares that black can use, and again, it's easy to prevent any sort of counterplay, while white has very simple plan of just bringing the rook to h1 at some point and just checkmating the king very soon. Well, even the way I played was completely okay. The only thing is not to just give the rook for nothing. Well, I was going to lose that. All right. So what was wrong with black's play? I think that the position was really bad after e5. So somewhere here, after I played rook to e1, first of all, d takes c4 is not good. Probably something like bishop h7 immediately is even better. So somewhere here where I played rook e1, all right. No, bishop e7 should be okay, but after e4, well, after e4 it's already not that great. So probably, yeah. Probably somewhere here it was interesting to try bishop to h7. Yeah, that was correct. And now if I play e4, you just take. If I take, you play e5. That's what you want to achieve in general. And you have a good position because of this d4 square. It's weakened, and yeah, white has absolutely nothing. So you missed this e4 followed by e5, I guess. Okay. All right. So next one. The clasher. The clasher, accept. Oops. Okay. I touched that. So let's play d4. I have no idea what to do here. I never play this. Let's try to remember the childhood. I actually used to play that only as black, not as white. Let's keep it simple. e3. One of the ideas. It's gonna be what? Gonna be yeah, Carlsbad bond structure. And let's try to make it like more interesting by castling long. Usually it's a good idea to have the dark squared bishop on the board for that, but I think it's also playable like this. So Jose says, play normal moves. I mean, when I told you guys that I have no idea what to do here, it doesn't mean that I'm completely like looking at this position for the first time or something. No, of course I know something about that. I mean, I've never ever played this as white. I was only playing this as black. And Fuchsia says, Andre, aren't you the author of the Catalan video theories? It's for black, it's not for white. So, a5. Yeah, natural move starting the attack. Now, how to start mine? Yeah, that's why you need the dark squared bishop on the board, because in that case you can play f3, g4. Here, of course, there is no possibility to do that. Rook d to g1 is artificial. But maybe it's okay. Just preparing g4. Then h4. And then something. We'll see. Now it's terrible. Terrible for white. b5, correct. Absolutely correct. Black is just much better now. The clasher will just win the game, I think. I have a feeling. Okay, I have to go away with the knight, otherwise I will be just smashed. So let's run away like a pussy. Terrible position. Terrible. G4, sack some pawns. No, it doesn't work in that case because you just open up the G file, but G file is overprotected with the bishop on F6. That was definitely not correct sacrifice. Queen b6. Okay. Preparing c5, right? Yeah, what can be more natural? What can be more natural? Okay, it's time to do something. So let's play g4. So, black is gonna win this if he plays correctly. Bishop h4 is very typical prophylaxis in such a situation, but I'm not sure that was really needed here. But on the other hand, looks fine anyway. So f2 is under attack. Knight f4 is nothing, so probably knight should go through g3. So here is the thing. You wanted me to sacrifice g4. Now I'm doing that. Of course, if black is going to take there, because I'm not sure. Black is going to do that. At least I want to put my knight on f5, let's say. All right. And now what about knight f5? At least attacking something. Now it's kind of giving me some tempo, right? And giving me the bishop, which is also important. So now we have opposite colored bishops. Gives me some attacking chances, probably. Bishop f5 controls c8, which is also important because black is going to play c5 and open up the c file. Okay, b4 first. Alright, probably a4 deserves attention or what? Or just rook g4, rook g1. Doesn't do anything, actually. That thing. Alright, let's play that anyway. I don't see anything better. Better with knight f4 and knight h5. So what? Attacking nothing. Come on. Knight f4, knight h5, so the files are still closed. So black just plays c5, cd4 and checkmates me. Now at least I have something, like, at least to hope for. Still lost position, of course, but... Alright. I'm worse, so... Let's go to c5. No, black should have not played bishop e6, rook c8, and c5. c5 was possible immediately. Without putting the bishop on e6, there is nothing to do with the bishop on e6. c5, creating a concrete threat of just cd4. You mean after knight f4 you attack d5? Well, maybe. But after c5, knight takes d5, I can attack the knight like queen d8. Then knight should go back, I just take on d4 already, and so forth. It's even better to give up that pawn. To activate the light squared bishop. Bishop could have occupied b7 after that, I think. Alright, what is this? This is... yeah, it's still nothing for me. Just very bad. Oh, hell, I don't know what to undertake here. Everything looks terrible. Okay. Feels like I'm just busted here. Oops, even this is not possible. That's completely lost. It's completely lost. Some chances all of a sudden. Oops. But I lost anyway, because I deserved it. I mean, that was just a terrible game. All right. I guess he could have played c5 without rook e to c8, because there was the knight on a6. Yes, c5 was possible at any moment. Obviously, yeah, it was completely misplayed. It was completely misplayed by me. So it's okay to play this bishop takes f6, of course, but then it's better to start the minority attack, obviously. So after castling, I should have played castling and then just b4, a4, b5 as soon as possible. All right. So queen c2 followed by castling short is a good idea when you have still the bishop on g5. So for that plan, you shouldn't take on f6. But okay, anyway, I think I could have played that much better than I did. How? On the other case, this knight a6 followed by knight b4 is very strong. Yeah, it's hard to achieve anything. Maybe e4 in the center, but still, doesn't feel like a good idea when you have this disadvantage. I mean, black has a pair of bishops or something. Okay. Very bad game, and black played good. Congratulations. Okay. So let's play this guy from United Kingdom. Probably the last game for today. And again, lower than 2900s. Knight to c6 this way. All right. Since black doesn't attack e4, I think it's okay to try something like c4. Playing absolutely random bullshit. But everything like logically here, I guess. Twihozak says, these are just figures, Andrey. They have no meaning, no relevance or importance. You are absolutely right. But still, I prefer when figures look nice. And they look much nicer when you have 3,000. All right, let's grab the space. Andrey, just out of curiosity, why do you like the Queen's Indian over the Nimzo Indian? Very strange question, because you play Queen's Indian when opponent has the knight on f3 and the knight on b1, and you play Nimzo Indian when the knight goes to c3. So basically, if white doesn't play knight to c3, there is no chance to play Nimzo Indian. All right? It's completely on white. I mean, up to white. What kind of opening can happen? That's the thing, the Sundance Kid. If I'm white, I can give you no chance to play Nimzo Indian if I don't develop my knight on c3. Okay, knight to d5 now. Or what? What to do in this position? Bishop a3. Bishop to e3 or something. Miktal says, your knights look bad. Which knights? My knights. My knights are great. I mean, I have a lot of outposts here. d5, f5, and so forth. So I guess knight d5 is just a good idea. Followed by bishop e3 and forcing this exchange on d5, more or less. Yeah. Or knight to d7, which is also good for me. And then maybe b4, b5 or something. Just squeezing black, move by move. So evaluation of the knights is not like what are they doing currently. It's usually the perspective thinking. So you just have to understand what kind of squares they can occupy after some maneuvering. And basically white's knights have a lot of different outposts to go. Somewhere to d5 to f5 and so forth. That's the point. So knight e7 is just a terrible mistake. Now I can play bishop b6 followed by knight c7. It's the one idea. Another idea is just to take on f6 with completely damaged pawn structure, so I can do basically what I want here in this position. So I prefer grabbing some material. I guess it's fine. I mean, I can capture the rook, which in this particular case means winning the exchange. You may ask me, is it really a good idea to win the exchange when you have such a great knight on d5? All right, I have another one heading there in a few moments, so neither e3 or b4 will get to d5. Question from Duke Crusher. Over the board, do you have your knights facing forwards or sideways? Nice question. So sideways, they're looking at each other. So I'm placing them like this. Why? I don't know why. It's just a habit. And just easier for me to take them and move when they are like that. Okay, let's take on a8. Rook a8, okay, and now a5, just protecting the bishop, fixing the pawn on b7. What's interesting here, knight to e4, I think it's not possible because of this knight to b4 move. And here is about bad knight c2. So, queen goes away, I take on e4. If knight c3, then I take on c6. After knight e1, I have intermediate capture on e7 with check, and then I take on d1. and that's over. The Crusher says, I would think they look drunk when they are sideways. Yeah, that's right, especially when they look like the one looks right and another one looks left, but they're both usually, in my particular case, look towards the center, like, or maybe they're drunk anyway, but... All right, let's simplify the position. I mean, I can take on f2 simply, but let's take the queen. So it's over now, it's over now. Yeah. Okay. So after knight to d5, just a sec, let me come back to this moment. Where was it? Yeah, knight e7 was terrible. Black's position was okay in my opinion here. More or less, of course, I have a lot of space. So something like knight d7 was very typical, protecting b6 and intending knight to c5. In which case I think I'm having great times after b4. Just squeezing black, move by move. All right, so most likely here after knight to d5, first of all, bishop f8 was not necessary, because if you lose that bishop, you're okay. You don't have to actually save it on the board. It's bad bishop. So knight to d7 is very typical. Something like a5 is also interesting. Yeah, you lose b5 square, but at the same time you prevent me from playing b4, and you create a great outpost on c5. I love actually a5 for black here. And if I play bishop e3, let's say you just play knight to d7, and next move will be knight to c5. Okay, and if I take here, well, you're okay with that. Queen takes e7, then knight goes to c5, and you compensate the missing bishop with simply dark squared strategy. That's the point here. All right. Bishop d5 is usually a bad idea because I just take on d5 with the c pawn and I have this typical advantage and space. The knight c6 is very bad. I just gradually grab the space on the queen side and so forth. So that was the best thing. Just ignore the knight and to grab other squares for your pieces. Okay. Probably one more game. Blitz Maker. That is probably the last one for sure. All right. Here we go. If bishop d5, then cd5, and knight c6 goes I don't know where. And I just played b4, and I have the c file, so bishop goes to h3 and so forth. So it's just bad positionally for black. It's just a typical advantage for white. But playing like a5, knight d7, ignoring the knight on d5 was playable. Okay, here we go. Blitzmaker 21. So we're gonna wait for several seconds, and then if he doesn't play, then we're going to play viral. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, abort. Okay, viral, accept. Okay. Roy Lopez. Here we go. Something classical. H3. H6. Smyslov system. Alright, a4. Knight f1 is the main line, but a4 is also absolutely playable. Alright, let's put the bishop on b7. Sorry, d7. I used to play bishop b7 many years ago, but then I decided to switch to this position of the bishop. I was not really satisfied with the bishop on b7 and many lines that transpose to Zaitsev's system. For example, if I play bishop b7, then bishop c2 is just a transposition to one of the Zaitsev lines. And on d7, in my opinion, this bishop is just placed a bit better because it's actually watching both sides. Slightly more flexible, I mean. Okay, queen e2 is definitely something strange. So now what if I just play knight a5, e4, c4, like... Knight takes e4 is even possible in some lines. Not sure. But simple knight a5 followed by c7, c5, which is a typical plan here, looks also nice. Just good enough. For black followed by c4, then b3 will be weakened. So usually queen is better on d1 in such a situation. Let's go there. Also on e2, it's vulnerable to my knight h5 at some point, so not necessarily that dangerous, but still, I guess, kind of factor to take into account when playing queen e2. I'm not sure that queen e2 is doing anything, so yeah, it exerts some pressure on b5, but as you can see, I have enough resources to protect it, so I'm fine. Alright, now there is a sort of b4, and usually black can prevent it by playing b4 himself or by playing c4. I prefer c4. Because if I play something like b4, I just take and I have better pawn structure, and if not, I have sort of a space advantage there. Now I guess I can grab the bishop by playing knight at b3, this or that one. And I think I should do it. Spanish bishop is very important, so why not to take it? Now light squares are very weak. If I take with the bishop, there is c4, but I'm going to take with the pawn. This pawn on b3 is... it's not clear. It can be a weakness, can be also a good pawn. But even if I lose it, I'm fine. I think when you have pair of bishops and this great control of light squares, you always have counterplay. Okay, knight g3 not necessarily creating a threat. What to do? Rook c8, rook c4 looks interesting, but then knight goes to d2. Okay, how to place my pieces here? Queen to a2 is a move. Bishop e7, preparing bishop d8, bishop b6 is another idea. Queen a4, simply preparing b4. That's what I probably should play. Okay. Exerting some pressure on e4, protecting b3 in advance. I guess white should focus on something like knight d2, queen d1 idea. Probably it was even better prior to playing knight to g3, not to waste the time. That was most likely a better idea, grabbing the pawn. Because now I think I have the time to protect it. At least I'm ready to come up with some sort of counterplay. Connected with the b4 or something. Now it's a good question where to put the rook. So rook to c8 maybe. Rook to c8, queen to d1, then b4, c4, and at least c4 is under pressure, so b3 is not a big deal. But where is my play there? I don't think there is anything promising after that. So maybe, didn't know. Right, I don't see anything better anyway. Okay, so now if he takes on b3 immediately, then I'm fine. Because c4 is hanging. So this gives me some time to improve my dark squared bishop, I think. So g6, h5, preparing bishop to h6. So simple. Pawn down now. Just a pawn down. Okay, I can regain it probably after bishop h6, but is it what I want? Not sure if I have anything better. So let's play bishop h6. If I take on d2, queen takes a4, bishop d2, take on c4, just takes f6. Let's make position really strange looking. It's just h4 attacking the knight. Having some ideas connected with knight takes c4, but I think white is doing well here anyway. Alright, b3 is not necessarily the best reaction, because now I take on g3. Well, it can be also good enough. Okay, now what? Now bishop d2, bishop d2, bishop b3 looks like my only chance. Yeah, stupid play. Stupid play of mine, and I'm just losing on time here. Yeah, great game for my opponent. I just tricked myself. Probably taking on b5 with the bishop was better than playing this. Yeah, most likely. Just losing on time. Okay, d5 is mine, so I'm not worse at least. But there's simply no time. Okay. Just a draw now, right? Oh, no. It's winning now. All right. It's just winning now. After white lost that pawn, it became winning. position. Maybe there was a fortress somewhere, I don't know, but with 2 pawns, well, it doesn't really matter then we have opposite color bishops anymore. I have a feeling that, well, white could have improved his play here. Instead of playing knight to g3, just immediate attack against b3 was probably great. So like queen to d1 right here. And after queen a4, more or less forced move, just knight to d2 even instead of... I don't know which one is... Okay, doesn't really matter, I guess. I'm not in time. I'm not in time to come up with the counterplay, and I guess b3 just drops. Say if I play b4, then c4, and if the same rook to c8, okay, your idea rook e3 and taking on b3 looks good, as well as just putting the knight on e3 here. Then protecting the pawn with the f3 move, let's say, and then taking on b3 also looks interesting. But okay, probably black could have captured on b5 with the bishop. I think that was better. Yeah, so taking with the bishop. Okay, c4, but then bishop goes back. But anyway, I have problems with b3 pawn. I still have problems with that pawn. You can just attack it like rook a3, rook b8, or queen b8, then knight d2. Yeah, probably I still lose the pawn. Maybe in general, this idea of knight b3 was premature or something. Taking on a4 deserved attention, of course, but what is the best move here? Most likely something simple like g6, bishop g7, or, you know, queen to c7, rook to b8, just gradually preparing everything. And only then putting the knight on b3 at the right moment. Probably that was the main reason of my problems. I just put it there prematurely. I thought that this light squared pressure should compensate even losing the pawn on b3, but I was not right, I guess. So white had great chances. Anyway, thank you very much for this experience. Thank you very much for your patience, for watching this, spending your time. Hopefully you learned something new. If yes, I'm happy. Wish you all a great weekend and see you next week. Bye-bye.